Hello, self-care coffee break number 10. So grateful that you've stuck with me. I hope you're benefiting from these coffee breaks and looking after yourself. And whether you've done them one a day and you've been with me for 10 days, or whether you're doing them quicker than that, then either way, I really hope that your body is benefiting and starting to tell you that it's enjoying space, deeper connection, deeper balance within. Today, I want to share with you, I want to keep on the breathing theme, and I want to link a little bit of breathing and mindfulness. And I want to share with you the work of a guy called Tom Granger. Beautiful book. I thoroughly recommend it. And he's also got an amazing website called drawbreath.com. What he does is use it. He's an artist, beautiful artist, and he uses that linked to breath work. And I found some of his tools so exquisitely beautiful and helpful. Do you remember the session we did with coming into present moment using the Tibetan bowl? This is another way of doing that through using pen and paper. So I want you to get hold of a pen and paper now as I'm talking. And if you haven't got one, just pause the video and then come back. Welcome back. And we're going to do two little exercises, one of which is straight from Tom Granger and one of which I've adapted to fit with M-braining. Now, the first one's straight out of Tom Granger. I want you to take your pen and paper. Now, I'll share with you what you're going to do before you do it. And even then, it's really interesting how just because you know what you're doing, by focusing on it, it might actually change the breathing pattern. The idea with the first exercise is that you draw your breath across the page. So you will draw the in-breath by going up a hill. You'll draw your out-breath by going down a hill. You're not changing the breath. So this takes us right back to just the mindful awareness of breath. But what you're doing is you're portraying that on the page. So you would expect there to be some variation as you went across the page. Maybe the height of the in-breath and depth of the out-breath varies. Maybe the distance between the start of the in-breath varies. And probably to get over a page, depending how fast you're breathing, you might be looking at a minute or two if you put it landscape and go left to right. So I just want you to put your paper down in front of you. And I want you to just become aware of your breath as I'm talking. And as you do, start to draw that breath without changing it, just being mindfully aware. And I will play along too, just for 30 seconds or so. So I will go quiet as I do this exercise too. And I've just got a small piece of paper, so I won't do it for very long. Start to draw your breath from left to right across the page. I don't know how you're getting on, but I always find it interesting that the minute I focus on the page, I kind of naturally fall into my balanced breathing because I now do that as a regular part of my daily practice. So trying to stop myself going into balanced breathing and just allowing it. This was the little drawing that I came up with. You can just about see that there. And you'll see that I didn't quite breathe in as much on the second one. And I didn't quite let out the same length of breath on the second one either. So how did you get on? And what did you notice? Again, what happens with the world around you? What happens with that beautiful head brain as you're focusing on your breath and expressing that through drawing? So just like with the bell, where all you're doing is listening, it's a mindful practice. It's an incredibly simple and beautiful way to bring you into that present moment. Very, very powerful. And because you're using some kinesthetic, you're using a pen, you're using your hands, you're focusing on the drawing, I find that it very, very quickly brings me into my body and into that present moment. So it's Tom Granger. Now I've adapted that slightly because sometimes when we're working with breath, we want to deliberately come into balanced breathing. If we're going into a meeting where we want to be calm and alert, if we're learning some new material for an exam or reading a book, if we're going into a meeting where we know we want to be making, wise and decisions that are going to have an impact on other people, what we might want to do then is find a way of very quickly coming into balanced breathing. If you have a biofeedback monitor, then you can use that. There are some very good ones you can get free or very cheaply priced over mobile phones these days, or you might have bought one from HeartMath, like the Inner Balance, which is their mobile app that you can literally hook yourself in, or in fact they do Bluetooth options now where it will measure your heart rate variability. If you haven't got one of those and you are in a meeting and you just want to spend a moment, then what you want to do with this one is, instead of starting with a blank sheet of paper, start with a sheet of paper that has a beautiful sine wave all the way over it. So the height and the depth of each curve is the same for each breath. The gap between them, the length of time, is the same for each breath. That's one way of doing it. You could draw an infinity signal and have from left to right, up and down, being your in-breath, and then the return up and down being the out-breath. So you can get creative. It doesn't have to be. You could just have a circle. In-breath, out-breath. But whatever you want, that balance when you're getting into balance, and some form of drawing on the page that you're going to follow. Now this time you can take a pen if you want to, or you can just take your finger and trace around the shape. So I hope you've now got a shape in front of you. If not, just pause this video, draw a shape of your choice, a sine wave, an infinity curve, or a circle. Beautiful. And then what I want you to do is to focus on that shape and take your finger, and as you breathe, bring your breathing rhythm into a balanced, even rhythm, where you're breathing in and out at the same rate by tracing around the shape on your paper. And this is a beautiful one. You can just see my arm moving. I'm just doing it in the air. I haven't drawn that out. Just as powerful. You can do it in your imagination and draw in your imagination as you're breathing, or you can do it on the page. Beautiful. So that's my tip for today in terms of mindful breathing, using drawing within breath as a mindful practice, and very much inspired by the beautiful work of Tom Granger. That's my self-care coffee break for today. I'll see you tomorrow.